A new report out from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget is warning that Donald Trump's policies would essentially hasten the demise of Social Security. According to the study, Trump's economic and immigration proposals would hasten the insolvency of the Social Security Trust Fund, which would end up triggering harsh cuts for benefits earlier than expected. So, which policies in particular? So, Donald Trump's elimination on the taxation of Social Security benefits would be one of them. Ending the taxes on tips and overtime would be another one. Trump's up to 20% tariffs on imports, as well as the expanded deportations that would all basically destroy Social Security's income. Undocumented immigrants, when they work, they pay into Social Security. So now Trump's agenda basically would have the effect of increasing Social Security's 10-year cash shortfall by $2.3 trillion through fiscal year 2035, advance insolvency by 3 years from 2034 to 2031, lead to a 33% across the board benefit cut in 2035, up from the 23% CBO projects under current law, increase Social Security's annual shortfall by roughly 50% in fiscal year 2035 from 3.6 to 4% payroll, and require the equivalent of reducing current law benefits by about a third or increasing revenue by about one half to restore 75-year solvency. So that is disastrous news, especially when you have a fix that is so incredibly clear, right? Which is to just scrap the cap on how much rich people have to pay into Social Security. Currently, the limit is $168,600. Starting in 2025, it goes up to $176,100. Ooh. Now, people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk pay their entire contribution for the year into Social Security within the first day. Okay? Rich people pay within maybe the first couple of hours. So, and then when they're done, they don't have to pay a cent more. The solution is quite easy. Okay, remove the cap so they continue to pay out through the entire year, and you fund Social Security into perpetuity. Right. Now that said, of course, you have people out there that want to blame. Oh, it's the benefits. It's too much benefits. Really? Seriously? Not enough. And they're also blaming people living longer. Yes, for this issue. In reality, of course, a large part of the problem here is actually driven by income and wealth inequality. So now, look, Social Security is funded by workers through payroll taxes. Okay. So now, as a result of workers not making as much money as they should, because the rich have taken the vast majority of the wealth that's been created in this country, means that normal workers, they can't fund it as much as they used to. They cannot fund the Social Security Trust Fund. So that's why it makes sense, since the rich got all the money, they got all the gains, they should pay more of that Social Security tax. So remove the cap. Again, that is the main reason behind the system's shortfall. It is not the benefits. People that are living on Social Security, they ain't living high on the hog, okay? It's actually not enough for a lot of people to survive. And yet, of course, all the suggestions on how to fix it is, well, we obviously must cut benefits, right? We got to raise the retirement age. That's barbaric. Barbaric. I mean, look, you're sure, you know the people who are saying that should happen. They're obviously not retirees. They're obviously not people that have worked in hard jobs. A lot of the politicians who push for this stuff, what do? They sit on their ass all day, they on the phone to the donors, right? Begging them for cash. That job, they can literally work until they die. Okay, on the job. They just drop dead in the congressional chamber, right? It's happened. It's happened. I mean, but for working people do not have the option to be able to do their jobs until they die. Okay? They just don't. For example, my grandpa, still alive, thankfully, worked at a ball bearing factory, okay? And was lucky enough to retire with a pension and everything like that. That job, though, destroyed his body. He's had his hips and his shoulder replaced, okay, as a result of just the repetitive work. My dad worked at a refrigerator plant. before he retired. He worked his way up from the floor to become a quality manager. Okay. And that kind of thing does not happen anymore. Okay. Nobody working their way up through the ranks unless they've got some pretty impressive pull, like a family member or something. All right. That doesn't happen. These days, where you're hired in is usually where you're stuck. And that's if you're lucky enough to be hired in the first place and not being kept as a temp worker and then let go before they actually have to pay you higher wages and benefits. Okay. So the people that are trying to raise the retirement age on people are not people who actually understand what it's like to be in the workforce. Okay. The politicians, especially, don't understand what it's like to actually work. If they did, they wouldn't keep trying to raise the retirement age and cut your benefits. As I said before, though, the fix is simple. And yet, why is nobody discussing it? Why is the mainstream media, by the way, why are they not covering this? Okay. I mean, Media Matters published a report and like, yeah, all the major news networks are not talking about how Trump's plans would hasten the destruction of Social Security and lead to massive benefit cuts. I don't know why they're not talking about, oh, right, the same reason that the politicians want to do, or ignoring, I should say, this very simple fix. It would hurt the donors. Oh, of course, hurting the donors, rich people. By the way, donors, they donate to both parties. Well, let's be honest, okay? And they have a very outsized pull on politicians of both parties. So now, as a result, they either come up with no plan, like the Democrats. Democrats haven't really come up with a plan to do a whole lot, save for a couple, and I'll get to that, right? Or they come up with wacky plans like Donald Trump's. In fact, Trump spokesman Carolyn Levitt told CBS Money Watch that the former president's plans, okay, for protecting Social Security would be unleashing American energy, drill baby drill, slashing job-killing regulations, oh boy, and adopting a pro-growth America First tax and trade policies, which essentially is just lower taxes on the rich, would put Social Security, quote, on a stronger footing for generations to come. So now that, again, that includes tariffs. Now the CRFB looked at this and was like, no, that's not going to work at all. In fact, their analysis said, we've shown that increased energy exploration is unlikely to have a meaningful effect on Social Security, even if the gains were deposited into the trust fund, which of course would never happen because corporations like to privatize the gains and socialize the losses. They also added that the U.S. would require, quote, an unrealistically fast economic growth to close the existing funding gap. Or, you could actually just remove the cap. When it comes to the parties on this issue, again, mostly in the national stage, the parties haven't really done anything, haven't really proposed any real solution, except for people like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, who last February actually introduced a plan to lift the tax cap for people earning $250,000 and add the Social Security tax to investment in business income, which is currently exempt. Now, adding it to investment income, yes, great. Now, Republicans, of course, as I mentioned, have already proposed raising the retirement age to 70, which would be a benefit cut of at least $65,000 in payments for the typical beneficiary. So, as I said before, the solution is very simple, but the donors and Republicans were controlled by the donors, by and large, more so than Democrats, who do have issues with the donors as well. They want to cut your benefits. They want to allow these benefits to go away. Now, what do I mean by that? Again, the trust fund isn't bankrupt. It's still going to be paying out. Even the worst case scenario here, it's still going to pay out a good chunk of your benefits, right? Not all of them, not all that you deserve, obviously. It's going to pay out most of them. So The thing though that I see happening, right, is the politicians saying, "Oh, look, it's Social Security Trust Fund. It's going, it's not paying out what it's supposed to, because it's bankrupt. Here, I think we should privatize it. That way, we put it on the stock market, and somehow you will profit." Now, of course, you will not profit. I mean, look at the 401ks, right? You look at a 401k versus a pension. That's what would happen to Social Security. Instead of it being a guaranteed earned benefit as it is now, it would be a, hey, if you're lucky enough to have good growth through your stock investment portfolios, then maybe you can retire. But if not, I mean, sad day for you, just die quicker. And again, that's what the Republican plan ultimately is here, to privatize Social Security and tell people who don't want to have the ability to invest, just die quicker. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you become a member on our YouTube page, you become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.